guys, it's Joshua Reviews, and guys, today we're going to be talking about a movie that a lot of people have not talked about. But I've heard a lot of people say some things about this movie. In terms of like IMDb reviews, not like, YouTube reviews. So, I think it's time to re-review this movie. And that movie is From the Depths. I did get it on DVD because the cover of this movie is really cool. I'm not going to deny that. The cover of this movie is really cool. I bought the movie just for the cover alone. Come on, look at that cover. Come on. This is probably one of the better shark movie, like low-budget shark movies with the most interesting cover. I'm not going to deny that in any way. The cover for this is really cool. And the concept alone is actually what got me intrigued. Because I saw the trailer for this movie before I saw the cover. I was actually wondering when this movie would come out on DVD. And I was like, hey, it's at Walmart. Oh, it's a really cool cover. I'll get it. It's basically about this girl named Liz who is a lone survivor of a shark attack. And, I realize I do this a lot when I'm like doing my reviews. I always pull down my shirt. It's because I don't want to show my neck. I hate that. I like it when it looks like this. But anyways, so it's about this lone survivor. Her name is Liz, and she is basically experiencing trauma and she's having hallucinations of this great white shark that killed her sister and her sister's boyfriend. So she gets help from her girlfriend, and she also she talks to a therapist named Christian. And Christian tries to help her with the hallucinations, but things start taking a dark turn when the hallucinations tell her to kill her girlfriend and stuff like that. So it gets wacky from there. So from the very beginning, I knew that this was going to be an interesting one. It was either going to be surprisingly good or bad. There's no in between. It's going to be bad. And while I do think this movie isn't good, I do have a lot of things that there are a lot of things of this movie that I do like, and I'll address those first. First of all, for a low budget movie and a movie distributed by ITN, I thought the acting was fairly decent. There are times where they overact, like because Liz and her girlfriend, they spend a lot of time on screen. They constantly overact when they're talking about making out. At one point, her girlfriend says, oh, I just want to sleep with you. I really, really want to sleep with you, bitch. You're my bitch. Did you know you're my bitch? You're my bitch. And they say that so many times that it just comes across as comedic. There's nothing else it comes across as. It's not romantic. It's just comedic. I've never been in a relationship, so I can never say if that is what relationships are like. But let me just say it's very interesting, to say the least. They constantly say that, and they often overact when they do that. But when they're just having a simple dialogue scene, fairly decent acting. Not bad for a low-budget movie. As well as the shark effects. The shark effects actually don't look that bad in this movie. I'm just going to say, it's probably one of the better-looking shark effects I've seen in a low-budget movie. And there was one or two times where the shark jumps out, and it did get me. I'm not going to lie. There were a few genuine surprises. And I think that the story for a shark movie is actually fairly decent. It's interesting, to say the least. It's a different type of shark film that you don't usually see. Usually, it's like a shark is attacking a beach or a lake or a cove or whatever. And, yeah, there I did it again. You're just going to see me do that a lot. And usually, it's the same shark plot, but, it's an atomic shark. It's a sharktopus or something silly like that. And I'm fine with movies like that. I love Ozark Sharks and I love Santa Jaws. Movies like those are the reasons I love, these shark movies. Because they're fun to watch. They're not meant to be taken seriously. They're just fun movies. And if anyone tries to look at them for, high art, you're not going to get that. And you're going to be disappointed. So, when I watch movies like this, I don't go in with high expectations. But I'm genuinely surprised when there's one that's actually fun. The reason I did not like this movie is because it's boring. This film takes itself way too seriously. And that's the problem with it. The shark is not in water. It hardly shows itself in water. And for the most part, the shark is not really in it that much, which is not bad. You don't need to show the shark that much. But the shark doesn't really do anything. Nothing really happens in this film. A lot of things are repeated. Just like The Room, there are a lot of things like how many times in the room, how many times do you see the pictures of spoons? How many times does, Tommy Wiseau give a bad performance? How many times do they make out? Well, I can name, like, they make out in this movie, like, maybe 6 times. 5, maybe, actually. 5 or 6, whatever. Maybe I'm off on that. I'm not going to rewatch it to find out. But they like, there are a lot of things that repeat, like, every 10 minutes, Liz, the main character, is going back to her therapist, which is fine. I mean, I like the actress who played the therapist. She was pretty good. But nothing really new happens. Nothing really new is added. The story doesn't really progress. And from like a psychological perspective, nothing really interesting happens. Liz at one point, like 30 minutes into the movie, Liz starts seeing her dead sister, and she's probably the best part of the movie. She's actually really funny because at one point she drops her like ear into a cup of tea and she picks it up and she's like, don't worry about it, let me just put it back on. That was funny. That was a joke that actually worked, and I've seen it done before in like movies like Corpse Bride, which is another good movie. Well, not another because this movie's not good. But yeah, I mean, it was still funny, and she was easily the best part. She was really funny in the movie, but unfortunately, she did not save it because the movie's just boring. It drags. Nothing interesting happens, and that's the cold, honest truth. Nothing really happens in this movie. I often found myself looking at the phone because the dialogue was just weak. The story, while interesting, doesn't go anywhere. The shark hardly does anything. And this movie really needed to be like a self-aware comedy, like Ozark Sharks. It took itself way too seriously because every time I see the dead corpse of Liz's sister, I just laughed. And there's at one point when a shark, Liz envisions a shark eating someone, and they use stock sound effect of a guy screaming, and the blood is so green screened that it's laughable. It's just like, why wasn't this, taken as a joke? Why is this played out to be serious? It doesn't work. I'm not gonna trash the movie and say that, from a visual perspective or, from a low budget perspective, the movie doesn't look good or anything. I think the acting's fairly decent. And I think that the cinematography is pretty decent for a low budget movie, and the shark effects are fairly decent. But the movie lost me at everything else. It's just not interesting. The characters aren't really engaging because we don't really know that much about it. We just know that the one main girl had a shark encounter, and that's it. The movie doesn't tell the rest of her story, and how she's really feeling about it. It's just not done in a clever way. I know I say that, as long as you enjoy a movie and, his characters, as long as they're, they're not douchey or anything, that's fine. But this movie tries to be a psychological shark film, and it doesn't work in that aspect. I'm just saying. Cool concept, but I was pretty let down. That's just how it is with me. D+, personally. Do I recommend you go see it? Maybe. I know one person that liked it, so maybe you'll like it, but this is me. I'm debating if I should review Sand Sharks or not. That's a tough one. Well, it might not be good, but I'll put you in the collection of shark movies. So, I'll see you guys next time.